Great. So it's about that time. I think we can get started. So thank you very much for being here, everyone, and GM. So today for this FuruRadio segment, we're going to be talking about MEV. So we've invited bloXroute to talk with us a little bit about what that is, kind of how it's relevant to people, what are the positives, why you should avoid it or not, and just any general discussion around, MEV itself. So we're going to be starting maybe with some easier questions, just some basic layman's terms on what that entails, and then maybe get into some specifics and how bloXroute is helping to solve or deal with this issue, or whether it's an issue that needs to be dealt with at all. So yeah, so glad to have Ben and Daniel here joined with me today, and maybe you guys just want to introduce yourself a bit and what you're working on at bloXroute.
I can go first.
Sure.
This is Daniel. I'm working as a senior product manager at bloXroute, and I'm mainly work on like product design, product research. Sometimes participating events like this to help the community to understand a little bit more about what we are doing. So very glad to be here and looking forward to this conversation. Ben.
Yeah, thank you. Hey everyone, pleasure to be here with you all today. I'm Ben. I work on the sales and marketing team at bloXroute. I focus a lot on content creation and really just I work on explaining difficult, complicated things about bloXroute in simpler terms so that everyone can understand. I feel like that's mostly what I do. But yeah, I'm really excited to be here today and dig a little deeper into the topic of MEV with you guys. So ready to get started.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that's something that we're going to need today. So yeah, I mean, even for myself, who's been in the space for quite a while, I'm still a little bit confused about MEV, and I think it's kind of changed a bit with Ethereum 2.0, but we'll kind of get into that. Maybe we can just start off with, for people that are unaware of what MEV is, what is it, and we can just kind of start from there. So what is MEV?
Sure. Do you want to say that, Ben, or do you?
No, go for it. Go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, all right. So I think the term MEV initially stands for the minor extractable value. When the Ethereum is still in proof of work stage, the term is mostly coming from that sometimes those miner can take advantage to change the order of the transaction or insert transaction in front of other people's transaction, aka front running, to benefit themselves by doing that in order to gain extra benefits. So after we moved to POS, it seems there no longer miner exist. This term has been kind of renamed to maximum extractable value instead. And also the definition of this word has been extended a little bit as well. We probably will touch that later, that it's not just Ethereum. Other blockchain potentially also have this type of, I won't say issue, but like it's a fact that MEVs also existed in other multiple chains at the same time. So the reason why people these days a lot talk this a lot is because like MEV actually created a great amount of value or profit to whoever participated in this industry or in this field. So that's just a general idea about what exactly is MEV. So if you in short term, just like some value can be some or advantage or profits can be taken for being as a minor proposer, validator, who being participating in this blockchain propagation supply chain.
Perfect, Ben. Anything you want to add on that, or?
No, I that was perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that describes it interestingly. So, is this then, I guess, was it a problem for someone using the blockchain before, and is it a problem now?
That's a good question. So I think first, the MEV didn't quite raise a lot of attention until probably last year. Not many people even aware about this existence until recently. It could MEV. I would say it's a good and bad thing. All right, so definitely it could be a problem. For example, especially what was very well known is those sandwich attack or front running attack. What that means is when some ordinary user submitted a transaction, for example, on a DeFi to swap some tokens, being a miner or today those validator, they have the capability of because your transaction submitted to the mempool, right? Ethereum have the mempool, so they have visibility on your transaction, and due to the fact that like a swap transaction does have a slippage tolerance, which could anywhere from 0.1% to like a couple percent, depends on the taste of the the person who sent it the transaction. And if there is, so what that means is there is a potential price difference you can tolerate in order to have that transaction to be executed. And those miners, those validators saw your transaction and say, hey, I actually can buy some token before you and then sell this token after your transaction in order to make some profit. That's what they call it, the sandwich attack. So as a validator miner, they actually have the capability of ordering the transaction. So they will insert one transaction right in front of your transaction and for example, buy transaction, and insert another sell transaction right after your transaction. That it looks like you have been sandwiched by like two like attacking transaction. That's what called sandwich attack. And in that way, whoever initially submitting that transaction will have the worst execution price. So I think that's pretty bad for just ordinary users like you and I, who don't, for example, who don't really pay attention to that. It also, especially for like bigger entities or bigger, bigger players who's transferring a big amount of token or swapping to big amount of token, that will bring a tremendous loss to those people. So this is pretty bad. And another thing is like because most of the MEV attack were initiated by the bots, sometimes in order to compete for certain opportunities, like there's a lot of bots out there, they're gonna just increase the gas prices tremendously in order to harvest some MEV opportunities. It will cause the network congestion and higher gas price, which is pretty, I would say it's a bad user experience for ordinary users who just want to submit normal transactions. So these are some of the negative impact of MEV. Get back to you.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. So, like in this case, the negatives would be obviously the reduction in swapping power for the user, and then maybe higher network fees. And then, a lot of people have mentioned potentially, this MEV bots are good for arbitraging the price and maybe giving better prices to users across the board. So is there any like general benefit in this regard, or like in the event of a front run attack or a sandwich attack, it just affects that single transaction, that, single user, and then there's no like maybe overarching negative, externalities around it? Or like how does it affect, I guess, the general ecosystem?
Great. So the other thing you mentioned about is to help the I would say that's a good thing of MEV is because there's so much such such as existency. They also do a lot of what we call the backrunning, not attack but backrunning transaction. What that means is basically they whenever a transaction, for example, again the swap transaction happened, let's say this happened on Uniswap, right? And it created a price difference between Uniswap and the Curve and other DeFi project. To doing a backrunning transaction, the searchers can basically you take the advantage of that price difference and do some arbitrage or other DeFi projects. So in this case, I will say it's actually a good thing, for the entire ecosystem, because it definitely increased the efficiency of the entire DeFi economy or ecosystem. Just think about in the traditional market, there are similar things happening on the Wall Street as well. For example, if you are trading foreign currency in New York's exchange, or it's just in one place, when people heard that there is a big swap or big trade happening here, some people will take opposite actions in other exchange in order to harvest that price difference to do the arbitrage. So I think these activities are actually good, and which we are encouraging, at least we think, from our perspective. Yeah. Sorry, can I add one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
Yes, and also, because the benefits of doing such activities and transaction, validators, miners can generate more. Basically, they can generate more revenue or profit, right? So it's an incentive for them to provide stronger or more robust infrastructure or better services to the entire blockchain community. So I will say that's also a good thing from that perspective. Yeah, get back to you.
Sounds good. Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. So, I mean, in your perspective, then, is there more benefits than negatives, or the negatives kind of outweigh the benefits in, just the, proof of work, MEV attacks, things like that?
I cannot say it's a good over bad or bad over. Just think about new technologies for, let's say, telephone, cell phone. There's a lot of good usage of helping the communication between people who are remote to each other. But meanwhile, these days you got a bunch of scam, which is really bad. I live in state of Nevada. I heard that we have the highest telephone scams in the States, but that's just the fact, right? We just want to, as a player or people who participate in this field, we just we want to serve this community and help them to build a more healthy, sustainable ecosystem. apparently those front-running sandwich attack will definitely hurt the protocol for the Ethereum network in the long run. So we want to minimize that. That's why we have like a couple of different different option of like MEV relays for validator to choose from. And we do see that there are more and more people, or not more, some people are more leaning to that directions, trying to avoid any type of sandwich or front-running attack. And meanwhile, we want to build a stronger infrastructure, help the searchers to harvest more profit, and making the market more efficient by doing like arbitrage or backrunning transaction, those type of activities. So
Yeah,
Gotcha,
I'll hop
yeah.
in here. I'll hop in here.
Sure.
I'll just kind of, add a little bit to an answer to your question. And this is obviously just purely my opinion, but I think that Daniel's example is really spot on, actually, with new technology and the cell phone scams as an example, because that's something that I experienced as well. It's something that probably most people experience, but you don't see people talking about, oh, I'm going to get rid of my phone because scammers keep calling me. It's something that more, we just have to be aware of as users, and to know how to navigate that without getting hurt by scams or other negative externalities, because we're using the technology. So I think that MEV is really similar in that sense, where it has a lot of positives, like uh, the arbitrage, keeping price corrections across the market. But then there's also the negative, where you have the front running and sandwich attacks. Though those negatives are actually avoidable as long as the user is savvy, knowledgeable. They know that these problems exist, and they also know how to take certain precautions to avoid being hit by those problems. So all in all, I think that MEV is not really a negative thing. That people just have to be educated in the space, know how to use it, know how to protect themselves, and that things will work out nicely.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, great points. And I think that's kind of, something that's just going to happen in the free market, right? You're going to have negative actors trying to take some profit out of the system. But yeah, maybe let's jump over then to how you guys are helping to solve this problem. What's bloXroute? How are you looking to solve these negative externalities, and how can people utilize your relays?
Okay, that's a good question. So we do have some services can potentially help avoid any front-running attack. It's called private front-running protection, which is basically a private transaction. However, most of our products are, to be honest, it's our to be facing. Most of our users are institutional level users who are doing quantitative or algo trading on the blockchain. So what that means is, because due to the fact that we have connected to many right now it's block validator or block builders, we actually can send the transaction directly to the builder for them to simulate, instead of sending it to the public mempool. So what that means is, like, the rest of the people will not be able to see that transaction, so they won't be able to front running you or sandwich certain transaction before it has been landed and on a block. So this type of features are, I would say, mainly targeting those who have who need to send sensitive transactions or a big amount of token swap, these type of entities. So that's something we do provide, helping our customer to avoid MEV. We also, what else we did is, like, we have bloXroute is one of the block building service provider and MEV relay service provider. And different from like Flashbots and other players, we do provide different type of MEV relay. One is max profit, which we don't do any type of censoring or filtering. One is ethical, which is related to this topic, like any transaction or any block built through, being proposed through our MEV relay will not have any, like the builder is promised not to have any type of sandwich attack in such block. And on our side, as a relay, we will scan the block and make sure there's no such transaction existing in this block. And whoever wanted to build a good reputation in this field, who want to work toward this MEV utopia, they will connect to us and only propose block from this ethical relay, which don't have any type of firm running sandwich attack. And the third relay we have, it's called regulated, which is OFAC censored, filtered, like any OFAC listed, blacklisted address will be filtered out in this relay. The block we proposed will not contain any transaction coming from or to those blacklisted address. These are the three relays we provide, and these are just like some products we provide that which kind of related to our today's topic. Yeah.
I see that we've got a question here from someone that just came in saying, how do you actually filter unethical transactions on the ethical relay? Doesn't that require a lot of simulation to be done on all the transactions?
Okay, that's a good question. There's two precautions we do. One is we only like accept builder from like trusted builders to our relay. That's one thing. We like if we do see like suspicious activities, we will not have them connected to our relay. And second, like is we do go through the transaction of that certain block they proposed, and to see if there's well, because in like a sandwich attack are actually pretty easy to identify, right? So we do not simulate the transaction, because when the builder send the block they build to us, we actually have the access to the block they build. So we can just quickly go through that and identify if there is any sandwich attack or front running attack. So it's actually not that much work, to be honest, if that answers your question. But if you are interested in certain topic, we can discuss that offline, because I think it is a bit detailed for most of the audience.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thank you for the question. I have a question on that as well. So if a transaction is scanned that is unethical, what actions are taken by you guys? Like, do you remove the validator from that relay, or do you speak with them, or what's your process for
again,
handling?
Again, it's not validator; it's a builder. So if certain things happens, we will definitely remove them from our builder. And well, we started with only internal builders at the beginning, and we are generally starting to open to more external builder in a slow pace, just to make sure the quality and the trustedness between us and any external builder. Yes.
Gotcha. Thank you. So, in regards to someone then setting the system up, maybe using it as just a regular user, how can someone, add these relays so that they can process their transactions in a safe and protected way?
Can you define who's the user, like a validator or single running validating node?
Yeah, I mean, I guess yeah, just a single validating node.
Ben, do you want to add or? All right.
No, that's okay. I thought I had misunderstood the question at first. I was just going to try and clarify.
Okay. So, I mean, connecting to us is relatively easy. We do have if you go to docs.bloxroute.com, we do provide a very detailed instruction on how you can connect it to our MEV relay. I mean, it's for, and one suggestion I probably have here is if you are a validator, like an operator, and you are thinking about utilizing the MEV relay for your node, validating node. One suggestion is trying to connect to as many relays as possible. For example, our best partner, Flashbots, they are definitely the leading player in this field, and absolutely us. And you will pretty much cover most of the builders, or those the best, I would say, the best builders in the communities. There are a few relays out there. To do that, there's two benefits at least. One is to have the accessibility to more blocks. For sure, the more relays you connect it to, the more options potentially you will get. So you can then choose the highest reward block as you wish. And the second is, in the case of there's a downtime for certain relays, you can always have a backup. I mean, Flashbots and has been very reliable, sustainable. I would say 99%, over 99% of the time they're online, same as bloXroute. But there's always some unexpected event could happen, especially during the first of months, I believe, like from September the 15th to now, we do have some incidents, and also other players do have some incidents. So it can try to connect to multiple relays. It will help you to navigate during those times. Make sure when it's time for you to propose, you don't miss that opportunity. So these are just some suggestions. Yeah.
Perfect, makes sense. And yeah, Ben, sorry, I kind of figured out what I was talking about as I was asking the question to Daniel. But maybe you just want to jump in then and describe kind of how you guys are working, I guess, differently from someone just looking to use the Flashbots validator set, for instance.
I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. What was that?
Yeah, so like as Daniel was saying, like, or like you guys are creating a set that works with the builders, to help to relay those transactions. But as like a regular user, maybe I would just connect to like the Flashbots validator set. So maybe you just wanted to describe a little bit about, if you're just a regular user, how you can kind of connect to the system.
When you say a regular user, do you mean just someone who's looking to avoid being front run on their transactions?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That wouldn't necessarily require the user to connect to any of these relays. As Daniel had mentioned a little bit earlier, we have a service where users can send private transactions that aren't populated into the public mempool and are instead processed entirely privately. So nobody can front run them or sandwich them or even see them, the content of these transactions and what it is that you're trying to do until after the fact, until it's already landed on chain and it's too late to execute any kind of attack. And yeah, like Daniel mentioned, this can be used for other things other than just avoiding an MEV attack. Users have been known to use this service just to mask their strategy if they don't want people knowing, what they're doing and what they're trying to achieve. They'll use a service like this as well, and you can find that on our website in our products page under private transactions.
Cool. So, for example, a user just has to add a network to their wallet or something like that, like their MetaMask.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. So they would add us as a network on their wallet, and they can easily toggle back and forth between the main network and our network. And whenever they send a transaction with our network selected, then that transaction remains private and nobody can see it.
Awesome. Makes sense. So now with Ethereum as proof of stake and kind of everyone with 32 Ethereum, at least personal Ethereum, setting up a validator node, is this something that kind of anyone with that 32 Ethereum can decide they want to integrate?
Yeah, as long as you have a validator node, you are more than welcome to connect it to our relay.
Perfect. And do you guys charge any?
Yeah, we don't charge anything at this moment. Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Okay. Anything you want to add on kind of the products you guys have, or kind of what bloXroute is looking to achieve, or what's like the future for this, and how do you see things developing? Where are you going with your product roadmap, that kind of thing?
That's a good question. Let's say what we are doing right now is we are trying to improve our sustainability, stability, and profitability. Is that a word? For our relay. So in order to have more people connecting to us, and that, however, like a MEV relay is just one of the product we provide here on the Ethereum ecosystem. The core business of bloXroute is focusing on providing a high performance infrastructure. So our goal is always to hear the transaction faster on the blockchain, on the Ethereum network, Polygon, BSC, or Binance Chain. We worked with. We trying to serve those algo traders, especially who looking for the best performance on in this industry. So that's our ultimate goal. Like providing MEV services more about doing, I would say, serve the community doing these services, because we already have a good reputation among the industry for being a trustworthy infrastructure service provider, and we do have a wide customer base, or collaboration relationship with a lot of validators among the industry. So that's what we do. And by doing that, it's also benefit our business, because the more validators, the more searchers we connected to, we do have the network effect. So our core business, bloXroute BDN service infrastructure, can have even better performance. So that's our ultimate goal, to serve anyone who looking for high performance infrastructure on the blockchain. So that is also one of the reasons that we don't really charge anything for MEV relay, because it's just do the best, serve the best for the community, and which in the long run will help us to build a stronger product as well. Besides that, we are probably it's not really related, but we are also working on Solana right now. We will also providing infrastructure and like trading API and Solana BDN for those who's interested in the Solana DeFi world. It's a separate topic, so I won't extend too much today. But if you guys are interested, you guys can shoot me a message after this session. So I don't know if that helped to answer your question, but like we just want to, provide the best performance infrastructure services in our industry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. So thank you for that. So in regards to the blockchains that you guys have, like I guess the MEV protection on, is that Ethereum? You had mentioned Binance Smart Chain as well. Any other ones?
Well, the private transacting is only on Ethereum at this moment. We do work with Binance Smart Chain and Polygon. So these three EVM chains are like where our core business BDN mainly work with.
Gotcha. Is that something?
Just to clarify, we don't offer the private transactions for the Binance and the Smart Chain and the Polygon at this time.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Is that something you're looking to expand to, or you're just focused on, I guess, what the algo traders are looking for in that regard?
To be honest, private transaction for ordinary users, for like day users, it's somehow I would say bad for them. Only when you're swapping for example, a huge amount of transaction, a huge amount of token. For smaller amount of token, you probably don't even need to worry about those things, because if you want to set up an account, use private transaction, that also might bring some hassles. But if you do plan to do a lot of activities in a big amount, definitely contact us for the details of our front-running protection services. But for ordinary users, it's just like be cautious, lower your slippage tolerance just to a minimum amount. That actually, in most of the case, will help you to avoid any type of sandwich attack. Because most of those attacks only happens in those like big amount transaction, to be honest. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting point, because if you're on Binance or Polygon, your transaction, if it does fail, is going to be minimal cost. There's a point on Ethereum where, you really didn't want your transaction to fail. So you might increase the slippage because, it's a $100 or $200 transaction, right? So, I mean, I don't see any point in not reducing the slippage on Polygon if your transaction fails, unless, maybe speed is an issue.
Exactly. Yeah, if the speed is an issue, especially during certain certain period of time when the market has a tremendous movement, right? Dramatic movement. Yes, that is a concern. But yeah, I think just be savvy, be aware about the MEV is existing out there, and have a rainy day plan for those events. If you are serious about MEV, talk to us. We might help you to find out a solution for that. Yep.
Awesome. Perfect. So I just want to jump maybe back to Ethereum 2.0. Has things changed with MEV since the switch to proof of stake?
Yeah, that definitely it changed quite a lot. I mean, there's no more miners, right? So no more gonna competing for your um, uh, like your graphic card. So you can so that's a good thing if you're a gamer or you want it. Yeah. So otherwise, yes, the players are different now. So in the past, they're like most of the those miners are probably lots of them are actually out of business or they moved to something else, and then comes in the new validators, those big players like Coinbase, like those big exchange or Lido, those type of project. So that raises a lot of arguments about like centralization, etc. Blah blah blah. I mean, we are. I mean, both like bloXroute, Flashbots, or even the Ethereum Foundation are discussing a lot about like the PBS and the decentralization of this MEV supply chain, how we're going to do that. But there's a lot of uncertainty still at these days. One other like one other things raised a lot of tension recently is about like the censorship. Flashbots does censor OFAC censoring the transaction being proposed through their relay, and I think just look at the data, probably more than 50 or 60% of the block out there. I mean, either MEV or non-MEV boosted block are like 50% of the entire Ethereum block are now censored. So there is also an argument between like if we should censoring the block. For bloXroute, we just like try our best to provide all the options. Like I mentioned, three different relays. So whoever connecting to us can just choose whatever they're tasted. If you want this transaction, the block to be censored, you can choose the regulated one. If you don't, choose the max profit one. So like for us, we are trying to be neutral and just to see what will happen in the future. But apparently, POS does bring a lot of shiftment or like bring a lot of new, I would say, new players to the onto the table. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, it sounds like it opens up the table to some like ethical questions that kind of weren't a problem before.
Yeah, I personally are supporting full decentralization, but like, you never know. You're living in the U.S. I'm living in the U.S., so I don't know your opinion, but like sometimes if you are a business, like you have the entity running inside of the territory, you have to be compliant at a certain degree, right?
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I guess the problem lies mostly with people, I guess, in my understanding is, delegating their stake to these, big companies, as you mentioned, Coinbase, Binance, whatever, Lido. So, had they been decentralized minded and maybe ran their own validator, they could make their own choices in that regard, I guess, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it's an interesting idea because, maybe with proof of work, it's easier to be in your own control in that case. But, maybe people argue it's not so difficult to just, start your own validator, although it requires some overhead to do that, right? But I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how things progress. I find it cool, though, that you guys provide, options for all kinds of thinking and the three options, that
yeah
validators can figure out what to choose, or builders, sorry.
Yeah, I agree. Because by the end of the day, we are not validators. We don't got the. They should have the rights to choose, right? So we just give the rights back to our customer.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think we answered almost all the questions, unless you guys have any other thoughts on that, or if we have any more questions from the audience on anything.
Yeah.
We can give them a minute to type something up.
Yeah, sure, for sure.
Yeah, just meanwhile, check out our services. I mean, most of our users are more, instead of individual, it's more like institution oriented. But if you are a sophisticated trader, interested in the DeFi world, looking for high performance, definitely check us out. Yeah.
And yeah, that's at bloXroute Labs on Twitter. Or I'm sure you can just add Ben and Daniel, and it's probably on their page as well.
Yep. All right. I guess no questions from the crowd.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it. I mean, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Fru Combo Discord or hit us up on Twitter as well. And we can ask those questions after the call here, or just send it directly to Daniel or Ben. But yeah, thank you everyone for being here, and thank you Daniel and Ben for taking the time to discuss this. This is a really interesting topic, and I think even myself, I learned quite a bit today. So again, if you're interested in the platform, check it out. Check out bloXroute, and use it if it's something that's going to be of benefit to you. So thanks again, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. Yeah.
Awesome. Take care.
All right.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.